and welcome back to the Mama Monologues.
Today we're going to be talking about how to have twin side braids with your best friend. So
We didn't
enjoy.
We're not that embarrassed.
No, we're not. Anyways, but really today we're going to be talking about the 5 parenting don'ts that we do.
Remember the days before we were parents when we were the perfect parents?
Yes, I do.
I mean, we went to school to be teachers, so I feel like we had pretty good chances of having like a well-oiled machine going on.
Yeah.
But no, we don't.
We don't.
We broke pretty much every parenting rule we had set out for ourselves.
It's called survival.
So we are going to talk about the 5 things that we said we would never do
Never.
that we do probably on a daily basis.
Rule number 1 that we would never do, co-sleeping. From night 1, you put them in their crib, you put them in their bassinet, they sleep in there, and they don't ever touch your bed, right?
Right. Wrong. Brielle actually slept really good. We had the rock and play, which is amazing, and she slept in that perfectly for the first 3 months, and then all of a sudden was waking up more, and I got lazy and wouldn't want to put her back in there and strap her in and re-swaddle her and all that stuff. When you're nursing, you are not even going to think about making any effort to wake up in the middle of the night.
No, none.
Like even lifting up your shirt is like climbing Mount Everest. So I would just let her sleep like the rest of the night in our bed, and then it just got worse and worse and worse.
I am still doing it, unfortunately. It's one of my reasons why I did it is because I had to have a C-section.
Right.
So in those first
You
weeks,
literally couldn't.
I literally, when the very first night that I was home, I laid down, I was so comfy, and he woke up, an hour later. I dug my heels into that bed in the sheets, but I just slid and slid, and I had to wake Andrew up to help me just sit up.
Right.
Do all parents who have C-sections co-sleep?
No. Even now that she's a toddler, anything to get a few extra minutes of sleep is worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So do what you need to do.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
As long as everyone's getting sleep.
Right.
I always said if it's affecting Andrew's sleep, especially because he has to get up and go to work in the morning, then I would have, I think, taken a stronger approach to make it stop. But we all sleep really good. He will come into our room, not every single night, but most nights he'll come in around 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's only for a couple of hours. It's not, like he...
And we still do that too. She'll wake up at like 5:30 and then sleep a couple extra hours.
Still
baby
co-sleep.
steps.
Baby steps, yeah.
And if it's a safety issue, there are safe ways to co-sleep. We wouldn't use pillows or blankets or anything, which sounds miserable, but it wasn't.
If you co-sleep, don't beat yourself up.
Yes.
It's not the end of the world, and I promise you, they're not going to sleep in your bed forever.
Right. Hopefully. Number 2, no technology.
For us, before we had kids, it was a no-brainer.
TV is Satan, and so is the iPhone and iPad.
And then you have a kid, and he screams in his car seat the whole trip because he just can't be confined by himself in the back seat. So you cave and you buy him this magic box that's labeled as a DVD player, and he just watches a movie the whole time quietly.
No, I know.
And then there goes your strong iron fist.
Our kids also are very active, and obviously they would much rather go and play, but it's for those moments when you're trying to cook dinner or you're trying to drive to, we live in a small town where there's nothing, so we literally have to go somewhere else to do pretty much everything, doctor's appointments, major shopping, things like that. The other thing is they both like to look at pictures of them and videos of themselves on our phone. If that will keep her quiet while I wash a few dishes, then look away, sister.
Okay, so number 3. No junk food.
No.
Organic only. Make their own food. No goldfish, no fruit
Mac
snacks,
and cheese.
no juice. Oh, no, none of that. It is so important that you feed your kids healthy. I still feel
we try to keep a balance, and I could not handle like bribery with food or using food as a distraction. Give her some goldfish, shut her up. But pretty much every time we go to the grocery store, she has either puffs or goldfish or a fruit snack or something.
I think that my big issue with food is that I have a kid that does not want to eat. He's a smaller guy, so those extra calories are actually really good for him.
Right. The same thing with her. She was under, or her weight dropped down majorly at one point, and our doctor encouraged us to feed her higher fat foods to kind of bump her. So I think just kind of having a more lax approach to food. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. It's not going to be the end of the world. They're not going to become addicted to sugar and salt and you know right away. Another thing was cooking our own food. When it was the purees, I did it at first, but it was so much work, and then I would just go and buy like some of the organic jars. That's the thing, where we live, we don't have a huge organic selection. When I would give her some jars, if I didn't have any pre-made, she ate those way more than she would eat my food.
Yeah. Well, and I know that because I did make Drew's food for a really long time. I think until he was 9 months, and he started eating solids. But my friend's sister actually showed me one day. She was feeding her son she was feeding him a jar of baby food, and it was the Earth's Best brand. And on the ingredients, it literally said sweet potatoes, water. That was it. So I'm like, wait, why am I just in the last 4 months?
Much work. It is cheaper, but it's so much work.
Yeah, it is.
Number 4. Oh my god, my nails are disgusting.
Mine are too.
Consistency. Now we are consistent about like important things.
Bedtime, mealtime, routine.
Right, that stuff is very important, and I would strongly suggest to keep.
Me too. I think it helps
on a schedule. But there are things, or there are times when I catch myself letting Brielle do things I've told her she couldn't do in the past just to get a job done. You know, she wasn't allowed to get into the cabinet, not our like chemical cabinet, but our pots and pans. I told her no, but when you're trying to cook dinner and you have like raw chicken on your hands, then you just kind of have to let them do what they're gonna do.
Yeah. In the beginning, Drew, he was so little, I can't remember how old he was, but it was right when he started to crawl, so probably 6 or 7 months. One day I was in there doing the dishes, he was on the floor crawling around, and I could not find him anywhere. I didn't know what happened, where he was. And he was out playing with the hose. He had gone through the doggy door. So the doggy door for me would be one that, you know, now that he's older and can walk and he's stable and there's nothing out there, we don't have a pool or anything. But if he goes out, I say, okay, well he can go play outside.
I feel like before I thought that it would be easier to no means no and that's it, and you're the parent and you dictate, which is true with most things, but it's just about picking your battles, because if I was so gung-ho about everything that I didn't actually want Brielle to do, I would spend all day saying no to her. If they're not going to get hurt and you need to get something done, whatever.
Yeah,
it's true. Like mom's
no, but it's true. Number 5, crying. I just thought it was so awful when people let their kids cry and cry and cry. What are you doing? Pick them up and soothe them.
CPS.
Maybe they just are throwing a tantrum. Yeah.
Brielle can just sometimes be in a mood where, like earlier, she was throwing a tantrum because she wanted my necklace. I'm not gonna give her my necklace, you know. Even when they're little, I remember sometimes I couldn't soothe her and I would just feel overwhelmed, but I knew she wasn't hungry, I knew she was clean, I knew she wasn't and you just, it's good for their lungs is what my doctor told me, and they just need to cry. They need to learn how to adapt, because as a mom, you know your kids cry. You know if they're crying just because they're throwing a tantrum. You know if they actually need something. And another thing I said I would never do is let her cry at night before bed.
Cry it out.
Cry it out. Our doctor recommended it when she was like 4 months old. And I was like, this is abuse. I bought like 5 like gentle approach books to how to sleep train with no crying, and we tried so hard and it just didn't work. So when she was like 8 or 9 months, we let her cry, and it was still really, really hard. And again, I don't, if you're not comfortable with it,
you have to do what's best for your family.
But at that point, co-sleeping was not working anymore. We weren't getting sleep. She was still nursing every 2 hours, and she was 8 or 9 months old, and it was just time, and she's slept wonderfully and she still loves me. And every child in every situation is different, and every child at every age is different.
Sleep is just so important for
Right.
everybody. For your sanity, for their sanity, for their growth and development.
Right.
Yeah.
We needed to do it. And I remember feeling so judged when I talked about it, but then a whole bunch of other my friends came out and were like, yeah, we did it too.
Yeah, no, it's whatever works for you.
Yes.
All right, guys, so that wraps up our 5 parenting don'ts that we do. Thank you so much for watching.
Yes, and make sure to subscribe and like this video if you did. Leave comments of what parenting don'ts you do, things that you said you would never do but now find yourself doing.
So we can judge you.
Yeah. And I think that's all.
All right, guys, see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah.
No, I didn't like the way my voice sounded at the end.
Bree, you're so weird.
And what are we
She's
trying to
brushing
do?
his chest hair with her toothbrush. This is absolutely foul.
I like went up and then came down. I should have came down.